Hello, witches! Grab your goat, grab a really big mug of coffee because it is time for the Witches Movie Coven. Indeed, it is. And this week's movie, Forbidden Fruit, the 2026 new film, Forbidden Fruits. My name is Patty Negri. I am one of your witch hosts. You might know me from The Witching Hour, my regular podcast, from television, from YouTube, from bathroom walls across America. But you might know me from my book Dollcraft or Old World Magic for the Modern World or Bathroom Walls Across America. But let me share this with my beautiful co-hosts, my fellow coven mates, starting with Richard Lale.
I am Richard Layell. Richard Layell is one name, not two. If I were just Richard, I would be a Dick Van Dyke. Yes, I'm known as the Gentleman Psychic. I'm a psychic medium. Used to be a psychic small, but I gained some weight. Also, by the by, go and join the coven right over here. Click on to mysterycontrol.com. You can sleep with me or my pillow. And someday you'll be able to get in Patty's panties if these tariffs ever work themselves out. You can be a bro witch. You can get Heather's books. I didn't mind it. You can get quotes. You get all of these things just going on down to mysterycontrol.com. Also, the likes, the shares, the comments, they help us to give you great programming like this. So we see you. We love you. Thank you so much for all of those likes and shares.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's moving over to Courtney with a new background.
That's me, Courtney Buckley, Ghost Bait on Scared and Alone. Finally, have my spooky background back. So, and also, you may notice I have a new friend here because I am now the mother of 15 dragons. This is sticking with the pasta theme. You guys met linguine marinara last week. This is fettuccine alfredo. So, he was, I don't know, the best snake ever. So, aside from linguine, but he's pretty cool. So he wanted to come and say hi to everybody.
Thank you. He is beautiful. Now the man with the golden locks, Jason Mankey.
I am Jason Mankey. I can be found in bookstores across America. The author of how many books? 10 books, including this one, Modern Witchcraft with the Greek Gods. All you need to know before you see The Odyssey, currently in theaters.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And last and never, ever, ever least, the also beautiful golden blocks today, Heather Green.
Hi, I'm Heather Green, and I am the author of Lights, Camera, Witchcraft, which is the critical history of witches in cinema and television. I am also a journalist. I cover all things occult in the mainstream media and an editor at Llewellyn Worldwide, working with authors like Jason and Patty and many others on their books, making great content for all you guys out there.
Thank you very much. Now, again, Forbidden Fruit 2026, a new movie. Hopefully you guys all watched it. I watched it last night. But just in case you didn't, Richard Lale, do you have your always beautiful and unbiased complete synopsis of this film?
I certainly do. So, in an alternate universe where people still shop in shopping malls, and not in 1987 when people actually shopped in shopping malls, a young woman gets a job working at the Salty Pretzel or whatever pretzels, a pretzel shop. Her name is Pumpkin, and she encounters some other young ladies who are all named after fruits. One is named Richard Lale. Oh, no, those are different kinds of fruits. Fig, cherry, and apple. They work at a high-end fashion shop inside a shopping mall, and the young woman comes in and joins the coven. In an attempt to be Mean Girls meets The Craft, and that's Kraft, Craft. They go on a 10-hour journey of shopping mall life where you find out that they have one thing in common. Their fathers are dead, and they have joined this coven. They're all named after fruits. One of the former coven members was named Pickle, and she broke the Coven rules. She ended up by warning Pumpkin not to be part of this coven because Apple is evil. And then she unalives herself by stepping off the second floor balcony in front of Fig and Pumpkin. And then all kinds of chaos ensues. We find that they have been spied on by, of course, none other than Pumpkin herself. And then more unalivings on an escalator. And then there is Fig is cut in half by a falling sheet of glass. However, whatever. And then they end up by washing. Apple and Pumpkin are the only ones left at the end of the story. And they wash the blood of the other girls off of their bodies in the fountain, which was reconstructed from Mean Girls. And then they fight. You find out that they are sisters, not just Coven sisters, but they are literally sisters. And Apple unalives Pumpkin. The police chief finds that the doll has had a secret camera in it, and it has been streaming onto her phone. Fade to black. Apple ends up at another store opening in Phoenix, Arizona, because again, everyone loves shopping at shopping malls. They just love them. And this Coven is where everyone is named after flowers. The end. Roll credits 10 hours later. That was it.
Oh.
Wow.
Thank you. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Thank
And I
you.
watched it at 3 times the speed, and it was still 10 hours.
Wow.
Thank you very much. And just in case you didn't get everything to know about that film, well, almost everything, but not quite everything. Heather Green, do you have some more information for us about this?
Sure, but before I go to my 5, I have to react to one comment that Richard Lale says, is that there are locations in my area in Atlanta that people actually do go to shop at shopping malls. Some of them are outdoor shopping malls. Those are more popular. And then there's one really bustling one that's actually right across from the event I was just at. It's one of the few where people still go. Most of them have died and gone away, but there are some where people still go to shopping malls. So it's not completely dead. Maybe not the same as 1987.
You can
Not
prize
a-
shopping malls from my cold, dead corpse fingers because the convenience of having all the things I need in one place. And as we all can tell, I have impulse control issues. So I love a chance to exercise that, which is the mall. That's how I got this, as a matter of fact.
And I would like to point out that my holiday traditions involve going to a shopping mall on Black Friday for what my wife and I call shot and shop. So that's 3 of us now who still go to malls. A clear majority.
I don't go to malls, but I know the teenagers still do. They're, especially the outdoor ones here in our area, are super popular. I do try to avoid malls, but yes, they are a thing.
Yeah, they are.
Still.
In LA, our outdoor ones. We have the Grove and we have Americana by a builder architect. They're like little Disneylands because there's trains and fireworks and water features. They're still very popular. Some of the big indoor ones are very sad. But whatever state I was in a few weeks ago, I was in a really, really big mall.
Yeah, that Mall of America in Minneapolis is for me a living nightmare, but it's crowded. So, but
2 Spencers though. What more could anyone ever need in a mall?
Yes, because
2.
Because that way then you can, where else are you going to get your plastic poo? I mean, really,
What?
what's the world coming to?
Sometimes people need a 9 Inch Nails t-shirt very badly.
At the same time as they need a
Spencers.
personal massager from the back. You know, you never know.
Yeah.
One-stop shopping at Spencer's.
Lots of stuff.
well, let me get on to the movie itself, Forbidden Fruits, which does have a mall in it. It takes place in a mall, in fact, and not one that has a Demogorgon attacking it or anything like that. This is a different Mall. This is a 2026. What was that?
But it's spelled MAUL.
Yes. We'll spell it differently in this case. 2026 movie, that premiered at South by Southwest, a indie film directed by Meredith Alloway, written by or co-written by Lily Houghton, based on her stage play, which premiered in New York in 2019 off Broadway, successful enough to warrant people wanting to write it, turn it into a screenplay. She co-wrote it, and then it became this film. It was actually filmed in Toronto, which somebody wrote in the chat, that it was filmed in the same place as Mean Girls, and we'll get to Mean Girls in a little bit. The other interesting thing is that this takes place in a store called Free Eden. Free Eden is not a real brand, but the original play took place in Free People. Free People is a real brand, and just as a side personal note, it is one of my favorite brands.
Mine too. It is my favorite brand.
I love Free People.
It is my favorite brand.
There you go. There you go. So you know what I'm talking about. So let's look at the cast here. They're not household names necessarily, but let's look at who we have here. Apple, Lily Reinhart. She was in Riverdale. I'm going to look at my list here. We've got Cherry, played by Victoria Pedretti. She was in The Haunting of Hill House, the newer one. I believe that's on our list. Pumpkin was Lola Tongue. She was in The Summer Ice Turned Pretty. I have not seen that one yet, but I have seen it, promos for it. Fig is Alexandra Shipp. She's probably one of the more recognizable faces here because she took over for Holly Berry as Storm in the X-Men movies. She was in the Apocalypse. She was also in Tick Tock Boom, if you've seen that, which is the story of Jonathan Larson, who wrote Rent. And also in the Barbie movie, she was one of the Barbies there. We also have Pickle, was played by Emma Chamberlain. If you follow fashion influencers, she is one of the biggest, or was one of the biggest, I'm not sure now because I don't follow them, influencers, and this is her film debut. She did Anything Goes. That was one of her podcasts. And of the legs and the arms and the voice that you saw of Sharon was played by probably one of the most recognizable, although you never see her face, Gabrielle Union. 10 Things I Hate About You, Bring It On, and a huge number of titles, and one of the more influential actresses in Hollywood.
She was in, you saw her face at the end.
Did we see her face right at the end?
Yeah. It was
post-credit scene, like mid-credits.
Oh, I must have turned it off at that point, so I did not see it. Her face.
She came on. That was what Richard Lay was talking about. The chief of police. She was undercover working the case because Apple was accused of poisoning 2 people. So then she walked in, and the guy was like, "Ma'am, you can't be here." And she's like, "What? I'm the chief of police," or whoever she is, like lead detective. Yeah, whatever. And she's like, I've been here." She's so badass. I love her.
She was awesome.
Yeah. I had completely missed that. I turned it off probably because I had to take my afternoon walk before it got too late. So I turned it off as soon as the credits rolled. I didn't think we were going to get a Marvel situation.
Oh yeah, big time.
So I just got to keep watching every time now.
Extended Forbidden Fruits universe.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go to number 3 here. Teen Witch Coven and Teen Witch movies. Now, clearly, I mentioned Mean Girls. There is a number of films that are based, this would have recalled for you. Of course, The Craft and The Craft Legacy, and of course, Mean Girls, and my personal favorite, Heathers, which is the OG of this one, right? Heathers came out in the 80s. Then you had Mean Girls, and of course, The Craft, and then Craft Legacy most recently, where you have 3 girls who are particularly mean, and they adopt in a 4th one to complete their little group. And each one, there's a and I will go through this real quick, but each one of those 4 movies have similar tropes, similar characters. You have the lead, Nancy Frankie, Heather Chandler, and Regina George, and you can say who did it best. Then you have the character that's kind of like not dumb, but kind of a little bit more ditzy or innocent or something, Bonnie Lourdes, Heather McNamara, and Karen Smith. And then you have the smart one, or you have the other one, the 3rd one, who's a little bit smarter, a little bit more sassy, Rochelle Tabby, Heather Duke, and Gretchen Wieners. And then, of course, the new one, Sarah Lily Veronica, and Katie, sorry, I had to do that, and Katie Heron. So they have the same model, and that is partly on purpose because it recalls that. But this movie was definitely born of that tradition. 2 of those movies have magic. Of course, there you go. That's Heather's. Turned into a musical, by the way. And Mean Girls was as well. And that was born of this tradition. And we all, of course, most of us recognize 1 or 2 or 3 or all of those movies in this for sure. But this movie was based on as a play. As I said, the play was called, hang on a second, it was on her shirt. Of women came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. It was a contemplation of the temptress Eve. You can see that in Free Eden being the store in the movie, the presence of the apple, poisoning with the apple. So you see that kind of contemplation of Eve and the temptress woman. But what's interesting to me is that the writer said she was interested in exploring female relationships and femininity. And that's what this is in the play. The play had no magic in it. It didn't have any death. It was not a slasher film. What set it off was someone stealing a pair of panties out of the store. But you can see a remnants of it. There were scenes taken from it. You can see Apple is wearing a shirt at the end where it has the name of the play on it. You have, and the other interesting piece is the ending, which I thought was actually pretty clever if you knew, but in the play, the girls are named after flowers. They're not named after fruit. The fruit is for the movie. And so at the end, when she goes into the new Free Eden store, the girls come in and go, "Hey, flowers." That was taken from the play. So there's remnants of the play in it. The calling each other babe, which came from the writer's own experience working in retail, is in the play, for example. So you see that coming through. They changed it. They made it into a slasher. They said, let's make Mean Girls, but a slasher, was sort of how it got started. And here you go, Forbidden Fruits. Finally, I want to talk about the magic in this. And I think we'll get into it over the show because everybody will have thoughts on this. This movie is very 2026. It's very conscious of the modern witchcraft community. There is no way you can not see that. The actual director did say she's into magic herself or into meditation and manifestation. She goes to enchantments in Alphabet City in New York all the time, regular customer. And one of the actresses is known to be a witch. Alexandria Shipp. She reads tarot. She's known to be a witch, practicing witch. So you have that presence very strongly within the crew and cast itself. And also just the people know about it now because it's way more out there. Internet, Gen Z language, Gen Z knowledge. There's mention of, other than like the normal stuff you see, the word hex and pentacles and other tarot, you see pictures. I'm just thinking of some of the other things, but you also have words like witch talk. You have they mention the elements. They do the seasonal stuff. There's so much stuff around them that is very reminiscent of 2026 understanding, more broad understanding of witchcraft itself. They even mention Mercury retrograde. Hello, that's pretty funny. That was ironic. They mentioned that as well. So there's definitely a movement forward if you look at our witchcraft films. If I was to do this in my book, just show that this film is very well aware of the modern witchcraft world that exists today, very well aware of modern witchcraft as it exists through the internet, and also very cognizant of the language around that's used by the millennial and mostly Gen Z at this point. It's a piece definitely of its time. So that's it. I have more to say when I have my comments and my personal opinions later, but I'll leave it to you guys now. Now I'm just going to sip my coffee.
And none for Gretchen Wieners.
Excuse me, my latte.
Coffee makes me puke.
Bomb.
Bomb.
Oh, bomb, that's it. Makes me bomb.
Okay, babe, go ahead.
Go, babe.
Go ahead.
And nobody's jumping in first.
Okay, I'll jump in. Why not? I'll say it. So what I didn't like is, even though they're trying to be feminist, they were sort of the opposite of feminism for me. even the fact that the name is from Eve, sin shall, whatever. It's all of the patriarchal elements of Christianity, which further played into the stereotypes. I thought it was, I thought this is, well, I'll go ahead and give my opinion now. This is the worst film we've ever watched. I hated every second of it. I liked the witch, when they did the Coven scene. That was probably the best scene, but I hated everything else. I hated the shopping mall. It gave me anxiety. I couldn't stand the girls. I hated all of them, and I was glad they were dead.
The worst film we've ever seen was
The worst film I have ever seen. I hated every second of it.
That's
It was
a
like
big
10
statement.
hours, and I watched it at 3 times the speed and was sad I couldn't watch it at 10 times the speed. I want my money back. That's what I will say.
wow.
That was
Worst
bold.
film we have seen some really bad films, Richard.
I know. And I would watch those gladly 3 or 4 more times to prevent myself from having to watch this garbage.
Wow.
Wow.
Ask me how strongly I feel.
But this is classic Richard Lale. At the end of the night, we're going to get a wands up somehow.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah, it's always a surprise.
Um,
I'm going to defend this film. I liked it. I thought it was fun, and I like movies that surprise me, and this movie definitely surprised me. It went places I didn't think it was going to go. The characters were not exactly what I was expecting as it went through. The shock reveal at the end really got me with the sister thing. I thought it was really fun. And I will say, too, that there were some of the rituals that they did that reminded me of rituals that I have done. And when they were doing Yule, they were all drinking out of a shared cup and taking that magic in. That is one of the things that my coven does at Yule. So I felt very much at home with some of the rituals, though we do not confess our sins, which is not a witchcraft thing, to Marilyn Monroe. That was kind of a shocker to me.
I go Courtney.
I was just going to jump in defense of it also because Mean Girls was a quintessential film for me growing up, and this was very like the Gen Z version of it, but very like so exactly similar that I saw all of the characters in it. I knew, their tropes and whatever. Also, the mall that I still frequent as an almost 40-year-old adult and bring my 16-year-old to frequent. I had to watch all of my worst fears about the mall take place. And I observed out loud that this is my actual living nightmare, falling off the second. Like, I can't walk near that glass partition on the second floor because I'm going to fall down. And also, I hate the escalator because I will get stuck. It's just obviously going to happen. But the glass coming down and cutting, the best thing I've ever seen. I enjoyed that thoroughly. I loved all of it. Like it was just so stupid. Like it was right up my alley. It was so stupid. And I thought, even though it took me probably the same amount of time as it felt like for Richard Lale to watch it, because I did have to pause a couple times and leave the room and collect myself and then get myself back down. This is the first movie that we've seen in a while that I have watched every single second of, and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. It was dumb, but I will come to the defense of this movie. And I saw in the comments, Scared and Alone, how dare you, worse than The Covenant, the boy band witch movie. Worse than that. That wasn't incredible.
I tell you, it is worse than the Muppets do The Wizard of Oz. That's how bad this film was for me.
Wow.
I will watch the Muppets do The Wizard of Oz. I will watch the Muppets do Debbie Does Dallas. I mean, watch that before I watch this one again.
You must have some psychological connecting to childhood or a past life or something, because I don't imagine how it could be that bad for you over
Well, there may be something to it. So
Something, maybe you were locked in a mall, or you got a job in a dress store.
I don't think that, but one of my very first jobs was at the Sunglass Hut
Oh
inside
no.
the shopping mall. So that was terrifying. And then my sister, my older half sister, worked at Sears in the mid '90s. My sister worked at Sears. And everything was, oh, today at Sears, I was doing da 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 da. Oh, and this man came into Sears, and then they were looking for drapes at Sears, and I was like, I don't ever want to hear the word Sears again. So maybe that's what traumatized me.
I think it's got to be a personal thing.
So I will tell you a funny story about the shopping mall, because teenagers did hang out in the mall, and I was a little older than a teenager. I was about 24, and I had decided that this was me coming out. This was me. I was going to finally be intimate with someone that I had met on Craigslist. That's another story for another day. But I decided that I would wear the shirt that I had gotten. I think I got it at Hot Topic, and it had drums on it, and it said "Bang Me." And so I got dressed. Here I was, Sunday school teacher, and I wore that because I thought it was funny, but also because. And I told my parents that I was meeting with a friend at the shopping mall, and that I would be back later on. Well, I didn't want to lie, so I decided that I would go to the shopping mall after the fact. And I did. And then, of course, I run into everyone that I know, people from my church and people from the hair salon. And I was certain that everyone could smell, I smell sex and candy. That's what I thought everyone was going to do. And I was so paranoid that everyone knew my dirty secret, which they now know for a fact to be true.
Did you still have on your Bang Me t-shirt?
I did have Bang Me.
At no point in that story was I prepared for what the next thing out of your mouth. That might have been my favorite Richard Lale story of all time. I don't know what my favorite part is. Craigslist, the t-shirt, the mall, running into everyone you know. What?
Maybe I'm traumatized in this lifetime about shopping malls. Maybe that's what it is.
It has all the elements, though. It really does have all the elements that you want in somebody's relatively scandalous story that's really not very scandalous because we're adults. But, when you're young, though, holy crap.
That was a better
Forbidden fruits.
Yeah.
I will tell you one day, one more mall story. I was the choir director of my church because I was a good evangelical Christian. And I was the choir director of my church, and I was looking for new clothing to wear to church. And I decided that I was going to go to Hot Topic and find pleather pants and fishnets. And they said, "Oh, you're going to go raving or going to clubs?" And I went, "No, I don't do that. I'm the choir director of my church."
Did you wear that to church? Please say you did.
I had another shirt over the top of it, but I did wear the fishnets underneath, and then I wore the pleather trousers. That I wore them to church all the time.
Incredible.
I love
10
it.
out of 10.
Amazing. Okay, I don't know how I felt about the movie, which is weird. I liked it, but there was something amiss. I couldn't figure out what that was. Whether it was the relationships, because I like the girls, I like malls, I like Mean Girls, I like the craft, I like the magic. It felt like real ritual to me as well, Jason. It felt like I've done that. Maybe not drink from a boat. Haven't done that, but I might do that. If it was a new boat and it wasn't an expensive boat, I might do that. In the past, I liked the magic. I liked that a lot. And I liked the girly being little girlies, but I just didn't like it as much as I wanted to. Whether that was just not connecting with me, the relationships did not connecting. I got lost a little bit here and there. This is actually one I would like to watch again now that I know the big reveal at the end. I want to watch it again. Oh, they're sisters. Oh, they do know what's going on and things like that, because that completely took me by surprise. I was also taken very much by surprise that it wasn't a slasher film, and then it was a slasher film at the end. And gore got really, really gory. Really, really gory. The escalator and all that. It's like, wow, where did this come from? So it was like different kind of movies. But I didn't mind that. But I was more upset that I didn't like it as much as I wanted to like it, because I like the characters. I like the girl. I like that we're all in Eden and we have this little thing, and then the girl really lives in her car, that kind of stuff. So, but I can't figure out what missed, whether it's the editing, whether it's the directing, what was amiss, and I couldn't lay my fingers on that.
And I'll jump in here, and I agree with you, Patty. At the beginning, I thought, oh, I'm not gonna like this. As at the beginning, there was something with the editing, it wasn't timed right. The way the conversations were going, and sort of there was something about the beginning that needed a little bit a different edit. Like I wanted the cuts to be different. I can't, without showing you scenes and saying the timing of some of the edits were a little bit off for me. And I couldn't put my finger on it. I'd have to watch it again to kind of pinpoint those things. And I think the whole script needed another edit, just to kind of pace it a little bit better, because I felt like all that gore happened all of a sudden. I also felt like the fourth girl was adopted into the coven too quickly. I wanted a little bit more tension with that. I wasn't like, she was like left once and like, oh my goodness, we're a coven, what am I doing? And then all of a sudden she's like, ta da da da. So I think that needed a little bit more pacing. So I think another edit would have done it, but I really liked it overall, and I liked it more as it went along. And once I saw what they were doing, and it was a little bit too gory for me. I don't think they needed that much gore. I think
Yes,
they could have
because
toned
it
it down.
escalated quickly.
It escalated
Okay.
quickly. I'm not sure. I just think there was two. Yes, ha ha ha, guys, it escalated quickly. I would have liked the gore to be toned down, but that's just my personal preference. I don't think it made the movie. I don't think that's what I don't think that affected whether I liked it or not. I would have liked personally to see a little bit less gore, but and it would have worked with less gore, but the same kind of violence, same thing, just a little bit less like gore. But after I read what the author, original writer, and was trying to do, and what her goals were, I had to think about it. And I think I could really write a lot about this, because in my impression is that she is trying to get at this idea. What she said was that she was a very feminine girl, and that there weren't really, and growing up a teenager and into her 20s, that she didn't see roles for feminine girls. Now, I didn't say feminist, I said feminine. She didn't see good roles for girls that were girly. She didn't see, they were always just subservient to the man, or they were secondary. They were always played against with the men. There was always the male eye, and they never had a role to sort of explore what feminine girls look like, what their personalities were, how they interacted with each other, and how girls' friendships devolve. And so that's what the original play was supposed to be. And I can see that's coming out here. So I think that really is interesting to me. And I'd have to sit and I want to watch it again. And if I watch it again from an academic perspective, I think I'm going to like it more and more. I think there's something to this. I think the ending was surprising, but yet it wasn't. Especially nowadays, because a lot of the films nowadays, kind of like in the 70s, the bad guy survives. The person with the trouble survives and goes on, because there's a lot of problems lurking around. And so you find that in films when there's a lot of problems lurking around. So I wasn't surprised. I didn't see the Marvel ending. Sorry, guys.
See, I thought I'm sorry to interrupt, but I thought it was completely predictable. But when you find out her father is dead and the other girl's father is dead, and then she calls her mother and she says, from the very beginning, she's locked in the store and she says, I'm having a slumber party. Yeah, it's her. I know it's her. So to me, I was like, oh, they're sisters. I already.
Oh, I'm not talking about the sister part. I'm talking about the survival of the redhead. In all of these other movies, Mean Girls, whatever, the Heather Chandler, Regina George, these characters don't wind up being the heroes or the surviving four. You wind up with the the I can't think of their names now. I have my chart with all of their names on it. Veronica.
Big Apple.
Yeah,
Cherry.
Veronica, Sarah, Lily, all of the ones that are the final girl who kind of champions over the Coven is the girl that is the good girl, the one who's the natural magic. Like in the case of the craft, she has natural magic. Lily and Veronica, etc. So here you have Nancy from the craft being the final survivor of the Coven and moving on to then go to a new Coven. That is something different for these movies. And now she's going to do it with the flowers, we assume, the same thing. And it's an interesting development. I think it's fascinating. And I, in the end, did enjoy it. I do think some editing, I think that's what Patty was getting at. I think it needed some editing, especially in the beginning a little bit.
Yes.
And maybe a little bit of a rewrite just to time it better. I think it would have been that much better. But overall, I didn't mind it.
Me too. I'm completely there. Though you didn't watch the Marvel ending. Was that a setup for a second movie?
Felt like it, didn't it? It really did. Like, I'm going to go get this girl now.
Yeah.
We're on the case. We know she's murdered her father. They have the evidence now with the Barbie doll with the recorder in it. And she's also murdered poor Pumpkin. So there's an extra reason to go out and get her. And yeah, I'm hoping there's a sequel. One of the things about these movies, though, that often makes it look weird to me is, and this is a lot of horror, the casts are so small, right? Like the amount of people actually in the film is really tiny, and they're in a mall. And sometimes you're like, where are the people in the store? Where are the people walking around the mall? They're just not here. It's a mall with 6 or 7 people in it at all times. And yet all the stores are open, which doesn't make sense to me.
They didn't have a budget for background people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a lot of horror movies. They just don't have that sort of budget. And
Because they
it
weren't
takes
free,
you out of the
people.
experience a little bit because it doesn't look real.
Yeah. That didn't bother me, though. I didn't even notice that.
I will have to say the note about Marilyn Monroe, and somebody else said, why isn't she someone you would worship? Now, I think the magic feels very TikTok-ish. It's relatable to us because it's there, but it's only partially there. Nobody's pulling, I mean, I don't say nobody, but, pulling off your underpants and squeezing them into a cowboy boot is probably not something any of us have done. We don't need to, well, I don't know. We'll just leave that
Lots
at
of
that.
experiences, Heather. Lots of
So who knows? But when you're new to magic, you do a lot of things. You try a lot of things. You also look on the internet, and people do stuff. But the Marilyn Monroe thing is kind of funny because, I can relate to being fascinated with high fashion. I remember as a teenager spending all that time in New York, walking up and down Fifth Avenue, spending time in Soho, getting makeovers. For me, that was a big part of my growing up, is that whole thing. And Marilyn Monroe, I had Marilyn Monroe posters plastered all over my closet door, and in growing up, and then I had Marilyn Monroe posters all over my dorms and everything. I was a big, it's partly film person, and I loved Marilyn Monroe, and I had her everywhere. In fact, to this day, I have a whole selection of wine bottles that have Marilyn Monroe. They will never be consumed. Their wine is probably terrible, but I only have them because they have Marilyn Monroe on them, all in my dining room to this day. So I would tell my stories to Marilyn Monroe for sure.
I mean, isn't she a deity of sorts? Just last week, I went to the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel specifically to see her spirit because it hangs out there. She lived in the bungalow. I went to the graveyard where she was buried just last week to go say hi. She's next to Hugh Hefner. Somebody had given her a chocolate bar, a Hershey bar. It was getting a little melty and anti, and somebody had given Hugh Hefner 3 condoms. On that note,
would that be Marilyn?
Marilyn?
And hello, Marilyn.
Forgive me, Marilyn, for I have sinned.
I'm not saying I'm confessing to Marilyn, but that is I don't think there's something that's totally. I think that we often talk about in people in witchcraft will say prayers. They will talk to
Yeah.
deity, the spirits, for 100%. And I don't have a problem with them choosing a spirit of someone who's famous, someone who means something to them. It could be a parent, a ancestor, or it could be a famous person. I mean, you go to Paris and you go to the grave of Jim Morrison. That's a spiritual event for a lot of people. I mean, you look at his grave, people go there for that. I don't have a problem with that.
And she was
I would
deified.
definitely-
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I was
She's-
just gonna say she's definitely a candle in the wind.
That's right, babe.
I
That's
have
right.
seen Marilyn. I have seen Marilyn candles, like at Oz or those kind of
Mhm.
stores where you have the Jesus and all the saints. I've seen Marilyn. She is
Yeah,
a
for sure.
She was deified
I
in
have a prison. Sorry.
She was deified in the Who's Tommy when they were talking about Our Lady, and it was Marilyn Monroe, and they're walking along with her as a statue of like a saint, but she's Marilyn Monroe, and I think in some way she represents Venus. That's my thought too. Courtney, you were saying.
Oh, just in terms of the candle, I have a prison Mike candle from The Office
Oh,
where he wears like
Yeah.
the purple. Yeah.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The worst thing about prison was the demento. Sometimes you need to talk to
Yeah.
prison Mike. So
We'll have to pick The Office one of these years. You know, you and at
be
least
your
a
birthday.
you and
Yeah.
I show, Courtney.
Hey, I've watched
yeah,
The Office. It's
and
my
then I'll
favorite.
find 10 reasons why The Office is a witch show. Try me.
Yeah.
I did it with Anchorman.
Yay. So, all right. So we all have different opinions, lovely opinions, all valid opinions. Do we have any quotes?
Oh, do we have quotes, Patty? I have to censor some of these, but they were too good to not include. Okay. Our magic isn't some witch talk rip off fluffy bunny bullcrap. To put it simply, our magic is the mundane crap you would have been executed for in Salem. And you know what? I'll allow it because it was a good line.
You know what? When I heard that line, I thought that this movie had done some research and some homework because Fluffy Bunny is such a term in our community. And I was like, bravo. That was when I got sucked in completely. Sorry to cut off the quotes, but that's an important quote, I think, showing that they did do the homework.
They're part of the community.
I think the witch talk too. Yeah. The witch talk part too.
For sure.
Big time. Being a witch is being a sister, and we all need sisterhood to survive. Is another very good and important one. Then their little chant: goat's milk, thigh gaps, rose petals, bone caps, truffle oil, witch with a bee slap, blood clots, juice press. I thought was just magical. I could feel it coursing through my veins as I was listening to them say those things. Then when she said Miranda Priestley would totally take you to Paris, I love The Devil Wears Prada, so that was excellent. One of them said, "Are you a poet?" And the other said, "No, I'm a witch." I think this was Apple. Apple said, "You know, when I was a sales girl, not yet a saleswoman, I had a knack for making something out of nothing." And then my favorite part is, this is one of my favorite parts, up in the paradise, doing paradise, whatever. And she's like giving them each like a little like thing that looks like drugs. And they're all dancing. She's like, "What did we take? Sequence. It's a placebo, babe. This is just what paradise feels like." And then I realized they actually ate sequence. That's what it was. So that was amazing. I think it was Cherry said, "We had plans to wistfully walk through the park at sunset. I had to walk wistfully by myself." Apple said, "I know yesterday was whack, but it's really not my fault because I Googled it and Mercury was in retrograde. So there you go." And I feel like that's something that I say a lot. Fig said, "I washed her brain matter out of my fishnets," which I thought was hilarious because I like that. And then she said to Norman, "Take me to Ed Sheeran, baby." And then Cherry tripped and launched the meat cleaver into Norman's face, which was incredible. And she's like, I tripped. Well, surely we don't have to sacrifice Shirley Temple anymore. And Patty, I thought of you at that point because they were not going to sacrifice the cat. And then they said, someone said to her, Apple, what happened to your robe? And she said, it's deceased. And I'm going to start saying that.
Thank you. That is.
I have two more.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were done.
Yeah. Nope. Then Cherry says Shirley Temple gets triggered by natural disasters. I feel like I too get triggered by natural disasters. So I like that. And then, of course, forgive me, Marilyn, for I've sinned. So there we go. And those are my quotes.
A nice supply of quotes. Thank you. Mr. Mankey, do we have a movie moment?
What I have tonight are a lot of questions about this movie, and some of them we really haven't addressed tonight on the show. And sadly, I don't think I'm going to get very many answers to these questions, but I actually have a ton, and I had to cut some for time because I didn't want this to run for 20 minutes. But I have to start with the question, are these four girls the only people who work at the Free Eden store? Because you don't ever see any other employees other than the manager. And then, to stay at the store, these girls seem to steal clothes 24/7. Is there an inventory system here? They also halfway live at the store. Are there no security cameras? And if they can routinely do rituals, smoke weed, drink bodily fluids out of a boot, set up sacred space, and have a confessional booth inhabited by the ghost of Marilyn Monroe in the store, why doesn't Apple just live there instead of living in her car? They locked a girl in the store for an entire night. There's clearly a bathroom here, which to me makes it a much better choice than a car. And I have lots of other questions about this store along those lines, but I want to talk about the last 20 minutes of the movie. And I'm glad that Courtney mentioned Norman, poor Norman, who gets half of his face cut off right after I think Cherry trips on something. Watching all of this unfold in the moment, I just assumed Norman was dead. But then in shocks of all shocks, he gets up, runs off, and he does all of this with a meat cleaver sticking out of his head. And if you were hitting the head with a meat cleaver, wouldn't your first thought be, I need to call 911? Instead, his first thought seems to be, hey, I should probably take this time as I'm bleeding out all over the floor and in a tremendous amount of pain to break up with my girlfriend Fig, because I don't need a doctor, and I certainly don't want the woman who just cut off half my face to get arrested. I'll just run through this half-empty mall. Yeah, that's the ticket, said no one ever. And that's the problem with the entire ending to this film. None of it should have ever happened. And the police should have been around to get the girls out of the mall. Even if Norman didn't immediately call the police, it stands to reason they would have eventually shown up, and he might have said, yeah, the girl who cut off half my face, along with her friends, are in the mall. And then the police would have said, let's go arrest the girl who cut up this dude's face, or perhaps just, let's get those girls out of the mall because a tornado is coming. But no, everyone just stays put. And the girls, four smoking hot women that most men would run through a burning building for, are just left to face no consequences for their crime and to possibly die. All right, enough about Norman. He only has 4 minutes of screen time anyways. But at the end of the film, why are the lights still on at the mall? Everyone has been evacuated, and clearly this mall does not employ security guards at night. Who are the lights being kept on for? Wouldn't all that electricity cost the mall a heck ton of money? For the most part, when a business closes for the day, the lights go off too, or at least are dimmed accordingly. And then it gets worse. The escalators are still running after the mall is closed. Does this make sense to any of you? Are the escalators still active because the ghosts in the mall need to use them? Is the mall owned by a demented psycho killer who's just hoping that someone wearing outrageously high heels will visit his mall in the middle of the night and then perhaps meet a gruesome end on his escalator? It boggles the mind, which is why I sometimes have trouble watching movies. How can I enjoy a film when inexplicable things keep happening? While researching the film, I came across a Reddit AMA Ask Me Anything with the director, and one of the commenters said, by the end of the movie, I really started to sympathize with Apple. My reaction to that was to spit coffee out of my mouth and then yell, dude, really loud. Apple wanted to sacrifice a cat, and not just any cat. A cat named Shirley Temple. That's a bad apple. And I just wanted to give Patty a hug in that moment of the film. And then we're at the end of the movie, and it's revealed that Apple and Pumpkin are sisters, and that Apple murdered their father because he abandoned her. Nothing really justifies murder in my experience. And then I remembered that this loving father named one of his daughters Pumpkin. If anything, it should have been Pumpkin who killed her father. What kind of a psychopath names a child Pumpkin? No parent should give a child a name that can easily be turned into an insulting nickname. While writing this, I came up with 5 insulting nicknames from Pumpkin right off the top of my head. Plumpkin, Pumpkin Lice Latte, Dumpkin, Pumpkin Brewster, and Trumpkin. And not all of those are good, but you get the idea. And now I'm siding with Apple. Maybe this father deserved to die. But my biggest question going forward is this. Will there soon be a witchcraft tradition inspired by this film, set up around confessing alleged sins to the ghost of Marilyn Monroe? I urge you all to please tell me that is not going to happen.
Oh, I'm starting it
Oh,
tonight.
me too.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm pulling
thanks.
out those bottles. I'm going to start the confessional.
Yeah.
Yep. 4 months from now, Llewellyn's Marilyn Monroe Witchcraft by Courtney Buckley and Heather Green.
I'm in. Let's go, babe.
That is
All ears.
beautiful. All right. All right. We've got a movie. We want to know what you guys think. Grab your wands or your coffee mug or whatever you're doing. Let us vote on Forbidden Fruits.
Oh, the drop.
Up. And
Where?
so low we don't even see you, Richard Lau. There you go.
Oh,
I am equally insulted that you think the Covenant. You even suggested, or someone mentioned the Covenant. That movie was good.
Yeah, please, boy band witches. Are you kidding me? I'll
That
watch
is
that
the movie-
again.
And that
Sorry,
is the
but-
movie that inspired the quote. I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind it. Okay, okay. Well, you guys in the chat room, we've got Tabitha clapping. Thank you, Tabitha, our Coven member Tabitha, who runs our chat room. Thank you for being there for us, Miss Tabitha Meadows, psychic. Thank you. Down from Scarlet, Scared and Alone. Who is Scared and Alone live? Is that Rob?
Rob. Look, Fettuccine says up.
Christine.
I did not
Genie
like this
says up.
movie.
Alexis gives us thumbs down. Wand drop. Wand is Wand is up for Robert. We have more downs than ups in the chat room.
There's an I'm not sure. I like that one.
I'm not. I was not
Christine.
sure either, but I like the movie.
Christine
I
is
just
Scared and Alone live. That's Christine. She didn't like this movie.
Christine. Okay.
Yep. That's how I feel about that.
Okay. Well, this
Yeah.
was another mixed movie. And again, I actually want to watch it again. So that is saying something. I actually want to watch it again. And I'm not a big multiple movie watcher ever, but now that I understand it a little bit better, I would. The depth of it.
I did influence someone to watch it.
Good.
I texted while I was watching it. I used my Witches movie Coven influence. One of my best friend, and I said, "You have to put this on," and she put it on right then and finished it before I did. But
Oh, that's good. Okay.
yeah,
So what are we watching next week of it?
Oh, we have a special week coming up next week. It is Shark Week in the greater world. And so we are doing
Yes.
Jaws, but we are going to celebrate all things shark and all things mystical, which means the return of the Ouija shark and
I
Ouija
will be-
Shark 2 and other mystic. Was that the Mystic Shield movie? Mystic Shield.
listen, yeah,
So
Ouija shark, I will be watching Jaws. I'll be watching Ouija Shark 2, Shark Exorcist. I'll be reporting on all of them. So
I will.
and I do not have a shark upstairs to bring downstairs to have. Oh yes, I do. There's a shark in a fish tank, but I will not be bringing him live on the podcast.
Wow. Okay. Jaws, everybody, and every shark movie ever made. So check it out. We have a busy week ahead. I can see that. We have a few minutes left. That was fun, you guys. Does anybody have anything coming up that they want to talk about? Courtney.
Me, I do. Our tour company, Salem Night Tour in Salem, has started the first and only trolley focus tour in Salem, Massachusetts. So you get to board the Salem trolley. They take you to all the filming locations. They take you to Marblehead, to the cemetery that was in Hocus Pocus, Pioneer Village, all the places you don't usually go on a walking tour because it's too far. So that is Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays at 6 o'clock. And for that, if you are going to come visit Salem, at salemghosttours.com.
Thank you. That looks very fun indeed. Anybody else?
I just have to say that I saw The Odyssey last week, the new Christopher Nolan movie, and I absolutely loved it. If you love Greek mythology, if you love the Greek gods, if you love any of that, if you've not gotten over high school having to read this book back then, you will probably love this movie. Just 2 thumbs up, wands up all the way. And I'm sure we'll get to it eventually, but it's out now. See it in a theater. It really needs to be seen.
Yeah, I definitely got to see that.
I have it on the list as waiting for it to go streaming. So as soon as it's streaming, we'll definitely have it on the schedule later in the year. Looks amazing.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anything? Richard Lale?
No, I'm just here. I'm the gentleman psychic. I'm easy.
Okay.
Seance, tarot, whatever. I'm here.
All right. Well, if anybody is near where am I? If anybody is near Eureka Springs, Arkansas this weekend, come see me. I'm going to be at Obscuracon. It spells like it sounds. Doing all sorts of magical and witchy and haunted doll and seance-y kind of things in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. I'm staying at a place called the Steampunk Inn, Airbnb, and my room is called the Scream Punk.
I'm jealous
Pictures.
immediately.
Pictures.
Punk Inn. So that's where I'll be this week. Next week I'm going to be in New Orleans, but we could talk about that next week. And you guys, please like us as individuals, because we're individuals too, on our social medias. Check out our websites, check out our books, check out our good times, because we want you to. And yes, Courtney has a pretty.
And thank you to Christy Cragen. Snake is pretty. This is, in case you missed it, fettuccine Alfredo. Oh, and he loves Jason. He's been opening his mouth and trying to get to Jason this whole time.
Awesome. Thank you, fettuccine.
He's
so sweet.
Much love.
We have a minute or two left. Anything we want to talk? Oh, we got hearts. I still don't know how to make those.
Fettuccine.
Mine doesn't do everything.
Yeah, mine doesn't. I'm not on a
Mac
anymore, so mine doesn't.
I'll jump in and say thank you to everybody that came out to Mystic South this weekend. We just finished that up. It was our 9th year. So next year in July, we're going to have our 10-year anniversary event. So look for the dates and for everything. That'll be in Atlanta, Mystic South next summer. But thank you to everyone, my fellow board staff who put it on, the volunteers, to everyone who came out. It was so refreshing, and it was so great to see everyone in person. If you're in the chat and you came, it was great to see you. Of course, I'm a flash running around trying to get everything taken care of and dealt with, but it was wonderful. It always is to get together in person with like-minded witches and pagans out there. So hopefully next year we can see this crew there in Atlanta in 2027 to celebrate 10 years.
Yes.
Special thanks also to Tabitha Meadows in the chat and to Rob and Christine.
Yes. Thank you, Rob and Christine. Thank you, Tabitha. And thank you, everybody in our chat room, for participating and for playing and for voting and for watching and all of the above. And on that note, it is 7 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, depending on where you are in the world. We have one more thing to do because we're witches. Let's do it like let's do it like a mall witch, like a beautiful
Oh,
young
witch.
mall witch. One,
Oh.
Don't know how they cackle.
three.